Welcome to Sober.Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober.Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober.Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Good morning, Glenn.
Hey, what's up, my brother?
Hey, good to be back, man.
Man, it is. I love these one-on-ones. We're doing the lineup for today. In fact, I took a picture. I'll post it later. I took a picture of you in the parking lot, right?
Oh, all right.
Prep, 5:45 a.m. on Saturday prep.
There we go.
Just what the coffee shop does. And shout out to Audio High, man. Audio High Brian, man, always here.
Yeah, really, we couldn't do that with this
It's
without
amazing.
him because,
totally.
You know, we had the choice at the beginning just to do Zoom and do a couple of $100 mics and, you know, this keeps us
you're
on
a $100
track.
mic.
No, that's funny
You're
right
a
there.
$1,000 mic.
That's funny right there. But yeah, shout out to Brian.
Don't do
man.
it.
That's good
If
stuff.
you're ever going to do a podcast,
Yeah,
don't do it.
come
help.
to Brian. Yeah.
You know, it's just like sobriety. You know, if you're going to get sober, don't do it by yourself. Don't make up your own plan. Get some help.
Life.
You know, yeah. When you
Life.
do life, you know, God, get some help.
So we just came off a little series with Dr. John. It was great stuff, man.
Do you want me to talk while you finish your muffin?
Can you hear that? Hey,
that's
we're in
why-
a coffee shop. We
You know
got to be
what?
legit.
That's what I love about our show is we are just real. And that's probably the biggest comment we get from people. Man, you guys are just real. We don't edit.
No, we don't.
We make Brian's job easy. Just run it. No edits. No piecing it together. Just do it.
Yeah, it was good stuff, though. Good to be back. So what's on topic for today?
So I was just thinking, you know, sometimes we share, we typically, when it's you and me, I love just doing sessions with you and me. I mean, I love our guests, but, you know, I just love the coffee shop banter with Mikey. And sometimes we just, you know, we run into things or people or situations, and then sometimes we just talk about us. And so you got almost 8 years sober now, right?
7.
7. When's
Going to
your...
be 8 in October.
Okay, so you're 7.5. That's 7.5. I just did 11. So we got 18 and a half years sober combined.
Which is crazy.
Right? It's just absolutely crazy. But one would think, in fact, people, when they look at us and they look at me and they look at you, I think we got it all together. Right?
Huh.
You guys got years of sobriety. You got it all together. And what I wanted to share is, and maybe just explore with you, is hey, compared to the way we were,
Much better.
we got it together.
Right?
But do we really have it all together? And I was coming up this morning. You know, I woke up, 4 o'clock again this morning, and I mean it's been hard, recent roads for me, and so I thought we would talk about what happens when we have an empty tank, right? When we have an empty tank, when we're using our tools and don't seem like they're working, and our tank's empty, and then so I sent you that idea. I'm like, hey, let's talk about an empty tank because what I think is probably our best content is just sharing our lives. On the path of sobriety, I think being real and just, sharing with people and not sharing all the Maseratis and Lambos, right? Because
the Facebook persona.
Yeah, the Facebook sobriety, because we don't have either one of those,
Right.
And I think we have a race to see whose car is oldest or whose car has the most miles on it, right? But just be real and say, hey, we are like everybody. I mean, life happens, shit happens, right? And so I'd like to just unpack that a little bit. And then so after I sent that to you, I'm like, what really hit me quick was when you have an empty tank, what do you fill it with, right? What gas station do you go to? Obviously,
Right. What are you putting in you?
yeah.
Right.
What do you fill the tank with? And if it's a gas tank, you want to use the best gas, the best brand, the best gas,
I use the cheapest, but whatever.
Yeah, but doesn't your car run better?
Sure.
I mean, if you use better gas or if you use water, your car's not going to run. You got to use the right gas. So I started thinking about, okay, now, because right now, at my point in my life, I told you, I almost called out this morning. I mean, I haven't called out once. I have not called out once in 5 years. I've never missed a bell. And this morning, I'm like, Mikey can do this by himself today.
Oh, that would be tragic.
But you know what? One of the things when I have an empty tank, I just do, right? And so one of the things I like to do is, just do a check-in with you, see where you're at with your tank. In fact, why don't we start with that? Tell me what's going on in your world. Where does your tank gauge at? Half full, 75% full?
Well, I think the first thing that jumps out at me is, we're in a coffee shop. We're just two guys chatting, right? So when you come to me saying your life has been hard, right, and you like to define things, right? Mm-hmm. So what's hard? And my first question as your brother in sobriety is your sobriety in check, or is life just throwing you life? So are you having a hard time with your sobriety, or are you having a hard time with life? Would you like me to answer that while you eat your muffin?
No, define hard.
Okay. Well, hard is the opposite of easy. Hard is when you're really stretching, you're digging. I mean, you're digging. Your energy is almost full, or almost empty. And so right now, as we both know, and the listeners, if they've been paying attention, know we lost our number one listener a couple of months ago, and my mom, and and death doesn't end the story. You've got an estate, and I'm not talking about big capital money. I'm just talking about an estate. She had her stuff. Her
work.
Precious, sure.
It's $100 or $1 million. It's still same amount of work.
We're clearing out our house to get it up to market, and so that doesn't sound like a big deal. No big deal. Everyone goes through that, right? But I've got work that I'm balancing right now. I've got a home life. I've got a couple of grandkids that we're helping raise at our house, and a couple that live a distance from us that I'm involved in. I've got work that's really complex right now, and with work, I feel that I need to give them the value of what they're paying for me, so I can't take my foot off the work gas pedal just because I'm busy taking care of my mom's business. But I'm being tapped from those three areas essentially in life, and then I've got things that I need to pay attention to. This podcast is one of them. Yes, I would have loved the morning off this morning to go take care of some business, or to go take my grandson out for coffee, or do something other than this. But sobriety is important. I've got this today. I've got a meeting this afternoon that I'm going to go and attend and support somebody with. I've got an event tomorrow that I'm going to with the AA group. And so yeah, that's hard. I define that as hard because there's only so much time in a day, and when I hit the pillow at night, I'm exhausted. That helps me know that I'm living in a hard cycle because I'm exhausted with what I did. Does that make sense?
Yeah, as you're talking, I kind of think in my mind it's almost like a balance, right? And for me, there's maybe a level of give and get, right? Give. So as I give, that empties the tank, right? And as I get, that
fills the tank.
That helps to fill the tank, right? So I guess maybe, I'm in a season where I've been giving, and the getting, maybe some of it's, I'm filtering this out loud, but maybe it's, I'm in the pity pot stage, and it's like, oh, I just keep giving, that I'm missing what I'm getting. Mm-hmm. So that certainly could be it.
So
right?
that brings me to what do we do? One of my what do we do, and I've learned this from you over the years, is have an awareness, right? And have an awareness of what's actually going on. So I analyze often what's going on in my life and where I'm out of that balance. But here's the real key thing for me, is that I don't do this alone. My wife, Nancy, helps me keep in check. She reminds me that I'm going through a stressful situation. The fact is I did lose my mother. The fact is there is a lot of stuff going on. The fact is it is stressful at work. So she points those things out to tell me, hey, maybe it's okay if you're not okay. You're at that point. But my real point is that I try and be aware of what's going on, but it's helpful to have somebody else come in and tell me what they see in my world, because it validates my hardness.
Well, that's the ability to read the label on your own jar. That's why one of the tools you have is people around you to help you do that, help you hold you accountable, check in, speaking of Dr. John, right? We've had a recent tribute series about Dr. John, and one of the keys to not feeling good, or having an empty tank is, not feeling good doesn't mean you're not doing good.
Right.
So that just blows my mind, right? But that's one of the tools that I go to. So right now, I mean, I feel I'm an empty tank. I mean, I am stretched thin in so many ways. I have chaos in almost every single one of them.
But your sobriety's in check, right?
I don't even know if you want to say that. Maybe I'm in a mental relapse, right? And where the chaos starts coming, right? I wouldn't say that my sobriety's in check when the mental chaos is there, right? Mm-hmm. I would say I've stepped into the risk zone. Mm-hmm. But health wise, my sleep has been horrible, and that is a number one driver of success for me is sleep, mm-hmm. and that's been off for several months now. I just had surgery for my sleep. I had the Inspire sleep system put in, 10 days ago, and the doctor said, "Hey, take a week off work." I'm like, "What?" Mm-hmm. I'm like, "I took 2 hours off. I had my surgery, took 2 hours off in the afternoon, and I was back, and then I was back. I've traveled 3 cities since then in the last 10 days, and I mean, I didn't have the luxury, right? So I know my body is stressed from that. I can feel my body from that, right?
So 2 quick things. Number one, Albert Einstein, I just read it in the last 10 days online somewhere. I was reading an article about his sleep pattern, and he was a huge fan of sleep and its ability to help him do what he needed to do when he was awake. So he did a lot of that. But the other thing that I want to mention is that, yes, I believe that. I believe that sleep is really an important attribute. And the fact that you are doing something about it, you've seen your Inspire people, you're doing something about it, tells me that A, you were aware of it, and B, that was, what do? We do the next right thing. We go try and fix the problem, right?
No, I'm really in that zone of just doing the next right thing, whether I feel like it or not, and I clearly don't feel like it. And hey, I got chaos everywhere. It seems like every day, like every email, it's either give or get. Mm-hmm. It's just sometimes it's a sucker punch, and sometimes it's, hey man, that worked, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the things that's weighing on me is I got 3 projects out there that I'm not focused on, that I can't wait to focus on, and I want to focus on, and I know I can deliver value to them, but I only have so much bandwidth.
Right, right. So that's the things that aren't happening is stressing you out as well, right?
Oh yeah,
and I think that says a lot. I mean, it says a lot about the human psyche, right? And Dr. John again pointed out we're the only ones that have this conscious. The dog, he loves telling his dog stories. The dog just is living life. It's got a great life. Somebody feeds me, somebody pets me, somebody opens the back door so I can go take care of business, and everything is fine. But it's funny that you're saying and I agree with you. It's the things that I'm not doing. As I mentioned this morning, I'm not having coffee with my grandson, but that is a lot. You put a lot of on yourself. I put a lot on myself. I want to have coffee with my grandson, but yet at the same time, I've got a podcast to do. Yet at the same time, I've got to get back into my mom's house to take care of things. Right. So, at some point, I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about balance. There needs to be a point of balance where, at the least, you've got time carved out where you're taking care of yourself.
So I got to tell you this. So I was in Manhattan this week, and one of the things I think a key is self-awareness. Mm-hmm. You brought that up, right? And I think that's one of the things. After 11 years, I have a very high, keen level of self-awareness. I know what my fuel tank gauge says. Mm-hmm. And so I was in Manhattan this week, crazy meetings, and I had a block of time that was open. And this is how this works. And part of what I like about just chatting about this is we just share our life in sobriety. It's not all unicorns and rainbows, and even after 18 and a half years, we still step in shit. Mm-hmm. And so I'm in Manhattan. I'm feeling I got so much stress on me. I have so much expectations on me, and it was like noon, And I'm in my hotel room, the cheapest hotel room in Manhattan. The crappiest hotel room. It was terrible. Smelled. But that's all we could afford. That's all our company can afford. So I'm like, I'm going to go to a meeting. I'm like, there's got to be a meeting here in Manhattan. So I pull up the website. Sure enough, literally a block. I was on 45th Street. On 46th Street, there was this meeting at 12:30. And I'm like, thank you, God. It's just how this shit works, man. And so I go to it. I'm in a suit. I go to it. And it was in this some rinky-dink church, old, smelly, third floor room, the AA room. And it was, and 50 people showed up. And it was everywhere from the guy that directs traffic on the Lincoln Tunnel to you could tell Wall Street executives.
Right.
I mean, it's just it was the coolest thing. And guess what? I felt at home.
There you go.
I heard messages that I need to hear.
I
got. Exactly. So, and then secondly, what I know about going through this enough, right, is when I know my tank's empty, what do I do? What do I fill it with? And that's where you do the next right thing.
Right.
That's why you got to have that's why I have 26 things in my toolbox that I do a day, a week, or a month. And I literally go in my toolbox and I'm like, okay, which one am I going to use?
Right. That's my go-to. Do the next right thing. That's my go-to. It was my go-to when my mom died. My go-to was do the next right thing. Not where before my go-to was pick up a drink. Right?
All right, so what were those next things? I mean, it sounds good. What were they?
Well, you look in front of you and you say, what needs to be done right now?
Okay, so it's action.
It's absolute action.
Yep.
It's awareness and action, but with a bent towards myself and my own health, right? So maybe the next right thing to do is go put my headphones on and go in the backyard for 10 minutes. Maybe that's the next right thing to do. It doesn't need to be getting a job done, checking something off the list. You had newfound time. You filled it with a meeting. I have newfound time. Maybe I'll throw my headsets on. Maybe I'll go for a quick walk. Maybe I'll just pet the dog, right? Maybe I'll pick up the phone and have that hard conversation that is stressing me. Maybe I'll go into my mom's old place and clear out a section, right? And the next right thing for me is it's always move. It's not apparent. It's what's the word? It's dynamic, right? So it's sometimes the next right thing wasn't on my to-do list. Is my point.
Yeah, and clearly you have to act your way, not think your way, not feel your way.
Right, you have to move. You have to move and do something.
Yeah, so it's so. In my toolbox this week, meeting was one of them. Didn't matter where I was at, I found a meeting. Connect with others. That's a key one. Prayer. But you know what? Frankly, it doesn't feel like my prayers are working that much these days. Maybe but I don't think.
But you haven't stopped.
Right. I don't think it's a rating scale. I don't just do it when it feels good. Right. I do it because I do it. Connection with others. I think the first way to start filling the tank, but then I started thinking, okay, I know where I'm at, right? Like I know
awareness.
I'm aware that I'm in an emotional relapse zone. I know I am, right? So now it's, what do I fill that void, that emptiness, that empty tank? What do I fill it with? And in the past, it's very evident. I would have picked up a bottle.
Right.
I mean, I can't take this.
Right.
And I think one of the quickest tools is suffer better. You know what? It's like the Ferris wheel.
Right.
I'm at the bottom.
Right.
And what I know with every ounce of everything I have is the Ferris wheel moves.
Right.
I might be like this for a week.
Right.
I might be snapped out by this afternoon.
It doesn't stop it from sucking down at the bottom.
Right, but that's one of the things that Dr. John and we just, I had the privilege of listening to our episodes that we were posting for the tribute. And I'll tell you what, there's like 50 gold nuggets in each one of those. It's suffer better. It's okay, I'm in the shit. I'm not feeling this. I'm not liking this. But cognitively say that, and say, you know what? I'm going to sit here and I'm going to sit through this. And, there's two monsters that we have at work that I live in life. And there's nothing we're not going to figure out. There's nothing we're not going to get through. But it doesn't feel good.
No,
You know,
right.
but one of the things was this morning. I could have sat there and said, text Mikey, tough week. I mean, I had so much. I almost went to the hospital in Buffalo, New York on Wednesday night. I was in so much physical pain, and my body was just worn.
Sure.
My body had nothing to do with my surgeries or my scars or anything. It just but that would have been the next right thing. Go get medical help. But this morning early, in fact, we have our brother Brian that that's one of my go-tos when my tank is empty. I fill it, and I said, I saw this recently.
Yeah.
This will make you think. This is worth a real Brian. So it said, hey, when your tank, they didn't say when your tank's empty, but
That's the way you're reading it.
Yeah, when your tank's empty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Write down the biggest problem you have in your life
Okay.
and throw it in the fishbowl with 100 other people in the room that have listed their biggest challenge in their life. Are you going to take yours, or are you going to take a chance by taking one from the fishbowl?
Right.
And
Interesting.
that changes me, right? Because we're all carrying stuff. We're all carrying our number one thing of pain or stress or strife or whatever word you want to use, right? But I put in perspective, and that's why I go to Brian.
Mm-hmm.
When I think like that, I don't need to go to the fishbowl. I think about the fishbowl, and I'm like, man, I'll take mine, right? Because I know other people are carrying heavier things. And then I think of Brian. I saw Brian was in the hospital. Brian was a guy in my Rudy group that we did for church, and the first time I was leading it, I had no idea what I was doing, and he had cancer, and I'd go visit him in the hospital. I visited him 26 times, and I visited him in the hospital, and he was dying. I've never seen more machines. I've never seen more cuts and surgeries and medicines, and then so he was struggling. And then his wife got diagnosed with breast cancer. And that guy, every ounce of every cellular energy he had, he was focused on serving his wife. And I watched him, like 2 weeks after that surgery, I watched him in rehab trying to stand up and trying to learn how to open up the kitchen cabinets. He goes, I got to be able to make breakfast for my kids to help my wife. You know what? Talk about something in the fishbowl.
I was going to say, do you want to pull that out of the fishbowl?
Right.
Right. So interestingly enough, Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever you had your episode, your almost hospital episode, I was at home, and it was probably 5:30 in the evening. It happened Tuesday or Wednesday, and
Mine happened at like 8 at night.
I was at 5:30, and I said, I'm done. I said to my wife, I'm going to bed, and she said, you need to. And I just went to bed. Now, of course, I was up before the birds the next morning. Doesn't matter. I got some good, solid sleep. That was what I needed to do at the time. That is what I needed to do at the time.
So one of the things that reminds me of is I told Jen I went to a meeting. In fact, I took a picture of the meeting place and sent it to her. I started to panic. She goes, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. In fact, if I'm going to a meeting, I'm really okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, I'm at the hospital with my blood transfusion. I'm okay. You know?
Right. So your go-to, in this case, was going to a meeting.
Well,
and that helped you in the moment.
Yeah, let's just say, and that's not even, this morning was lower than earlier this week. This morning was the lowest I've been in recent memory. Mm-hmm. And my go-to immediately was fulfill your responsibility. Mm-hmm. Do what you say you're going to do. Mm-hmm. Act your way. Do the next right thing. And the next right thing is meet my commitments, right? Don't bag it out and go back to bed. Meet your commitments. So that was the very first thing I did. And that was like 4:15-ish. I had terrible sleep last night. I probably slept 2 hours. And so then I got my coffee. I'm like, okay, what's the next right thing I do? Okay, I went to my go-to songs. U2 40. I went to prayer. And I feel like
So you're just throwing tools at
Oh,
yourself.
I'm literally
You're throwing
going down
tools
my
out.
list of 26 things.
Yeah, right.
Like,
Emptying out the dumping out the toolbox.
I mean, I probably
and
used
grabbing
10 tools
whatever
here
you
this
got.
morning.
Right.
I probably used 10 tools so far this morning, maybe 12. I don't know. But I'm just going on the checklist. And then I got showered, and then, got cleaned up, fed the dog, did some responsibilities.
Can I suggest an 11th?
Yeah.
And I know you do this, but
Do.
do this, but this is something that works really well for me. A couple times every year, I've got to do a hard reset. Right? I do it in Florida in January, and I do it in the summer up at the cabin. Right? And maybe for both of us, sometimes it's scheduled for me to do the reset. Sometimes you got to move that up in your schedule. Just a complete reset. An unplug, go check yourself into a hotel, go find a friend's place in Michigan, just go unplug and reanalyze where you're at. Reanalyze. I know I'm due for mine here in July. I think I can make it till then, but if I really felt I was in the danger zone, I would just tell the world. It's kind of like when I went into rehab and my wife says we're going to this in-house inpatient program. I'm like, no, I can't unplug for 28 days. Best thing that ever happened in my life. I unplugged for 28 days. I set a foundation that has now shot me like a bullet out of a gun through the first 7.5 years.
So here's what I'm at a part right now. I have responsibilities that are daily responsibilities for the business. I mean, I can unplug from everything else I've got in my life right now except for my business. I've got. Unfortunately, I've built. I mean, as a founder, you kind of do.
Right.
You got things you do, and I mean, I just. If I didn't do them every day or focus every day and get them done, it's at least 2 hours a day. That would fall apart, and that would create
bigger problems.
Yeah.
Right.
So I've been trying to do mini ones,
Okay,
right?
okay.
In fact, what I even thought, as I'm going through my toolbox today, I even thought maybe I'll go to 3 meetings today. Maybe I'll go to church tonight, right? But I got other things I've got to do. But no, I think that's great advice. And it's funny because I've got, coming up next week or the week after, I've got, a family trip. Now I work on my family trips, but now I'm on, a guy said to me yesterday, he wanted to meet. I'm like, hey, I'm not available that week. I'm on a family trip. I still work, but I'm not available in person. He goes, how bad do you want the deal? I'm like, screw you, man. I've done that,
Yeah, right.
So, I don't know. I think at the end of the day, I think how are we doing on time? We have to wrap up.
This is more important than time.
So look at your wisdom. So one of it, I think it's key to try to wrap this up, to try to land the plane. I think the key is to really believe, not just say it, but really believe it. Just because you're not feeling good doesn't mean you're not doing good.
That's right.
That's number one. Second is, as you sit in the shit, suffer better. Just be better. And then part of that goes right into the first wheel. Look at all the tools I'm using. I go right. They're all mental tools so far. Go right into the first wheel. I'm at the bottom right now. You're at the bottom with some areas of your life right now. I mean, I know that estate shit is not fun. I've been through it. But one thing that and I know is that first wheel moves.
I think the third thing then, if we're numbering stuff out, is make a solid connection with an accountability partner for the exact season you're in right now. So whether it be Jen, whether it be Mikey, whether it be your sponsor, make a solid connection so that you're having halving your problem. Just get.
God, you're a genius.
Here's
having.
Having your problem. So here's the thing. Your sponsor is not a founding CEO of a company. Jen is not a founding CEO of a company. She can't understand the stress. Mikey can't understand. I've been there, but I still, I'm not living in your shoes right now. It doesn't matter how qualified we are. It matters how invested we are. We're invested in the Glen, not the deal. We're invested in the Glen, not the problems that he's got with his sleep. We're invested in the Glen, and that goes a long, long, long way, because we can't do this thing solo. We preach that every week on this. This is a we deal, and not just sobriety, but life. Off mic, we were talking about that. It's everything. It's in your sobriety. It's in your life. It's in your business. You need other people. You need to be able to ask for their help in, at the very least, pointing out the things that they might help. You know, my sister, I love her to death, and she was a travel agent back when that was a real thing, and people come to her with, she's the firstborn, right? So people come to her with all the problems, and she always says, well, look, I'm just a travel agent. However, you know, this is what I see. Right? She doesn't understand big business, but if you sat down and talked with her, she'd be able to read your label. It's just so important to get somebody else in during these crisis moments. For me to have the conversation with Nancy and say, I know I'm stressed out, you know, and for her to validate and then suggest, why don't you just go to bed? It's 5:30 and 5:36 in the afternoon, honey. The world is still going on. She said, just go to bed. Right?
Yeah, so I will definitely today, sit Jen down. But Jen,
no,
she has no idea what I go through.
Sure.
And B, her probably immediate response is, scared.
Yeah.
Glenn's going to relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a real thing.
That's a real thing, right?
But that's why you have the tools. That's why I just saw a story this week. It's just funny how, it's almost like when you buy a red car, all you see on the road is red cars, right? So I've got 11 years sober, just got that coin, and now, I'm seeing a lot of 11-year sober stories. And unfortunately, a lot of those are relapse.
Mm-hmm.
And it
scares the shit out of me.
Yeah, me too, and that's, if I start doing... for example, I start doing alcohol. I notice I'm aware of my alcoholic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll tell you one of my alcoholic behaviors that I've had in the last 30 days is, and you saw me do it this morning, is I have these jawbreakers.
Yeah,
cinnamon
right.
Jawbreakers, and it's almost a compulsive OCD thing.
Mm-hmm. You just pop a jawbreaker.
Pop a jawbreaker. And then it's the feeling I get from trying to shave off, because it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to crack it. I try to, some of them are softer than others, and so, I literally this is alcoholic behavior.
Mm-hmm.
This is awareness, and so in the last 30 days ish, I buy them by I think there's 200 in a little container.
Right, okay. All right.
Off of Amazon. I have bought 4 of them. So that's 800 I have bought in the last month-ish.
Okay.
And I just eat them. I grind them. Maybe it's a way to get stress out, right? Just grind. Right? Well, I landed up breaking a tooth.
Here's my shocked face.
So I broke a tooth. And
now
so,
you got a bigger problem.
Jen's sitting there saying, what are you doing?
Right.
She goes, your teeth are brittle. What are you doing? Right. And then she goes, you're going to break a tooth. I'm like, sit down.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
like, sit down, stop it. I'm not going to break a tooth. I said, I don't chew on that side of my mouth. I chew on my good side of my mouth. Sure enough, on the bad side of my mouth, a tooth breaks.
Yeah.
One of the only teeth I have left.
Right.
And so now I go in and I'm thinking I'm going to be Superman, right? Pull it, implant it,
right,
crown it the same day.
Sure.
Doctor then says, okay, I'll do that for you. So I go in and says, oh, it's too bad. I can't do it. So now I got a hole in my tooth. So I had that surgery before I had, my other surgery. So I'm not sure where I was going with that. But
well, here's the thing, and as we do land the plane, I think I think.
Wait.
Yes.
Land it or crash it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Here's the thing. I'm going to sit across you and I'm going to read your label. I don't think you're in danger of relapse. I think that you're in a season right now that you've backed into this stress, right? And I don't think you're in danger of alcoholic relapse at all. I just think you need time to analyze and then put together a plan that works for you. And again, that sounds like self-help shit, but it's really not. This is there is a plan all through history. You got to have a plan, and I think you've got the pieces all in play. I think that, like me, you're being reactive to the scenarios being thrown in front of you rather than proactive based on a plan for you to get out of this season somehow to do it. And that goes back to doing the next right thing. And maybe for you, the next right thing is to have a conversation with somebody, your sponsor, Jennifer, myself after the show, maybe a listener. Dial them up. Anybody, it doesn't matter. Just get that out there.
Yeah, and probably so the way I've looked at it so far today, I've done all the baseline things, right?
Right.
Including the Brian swim video.
Yeah.
So I will connect. I'll sit Jen down, and I'll connect with my sponsor, Timmy, and that's what it's about, man. It's about being aware where your tank's at, and then what do you fill it with,
right?
And frankly, I got kids home from college. I got beer all around the house. I got bottles of wine.
I'm more worried about you on a cozy Tuesday afternoon after you just closed a portion of your deal. That's where I see. Then I say, Glenn, I see a danger here. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing a danger.
What I know is I am on the relapse
path.
Right. That's what I know for a fact.
If you think like you thought before, you'll drink like you didn't drink before.
Well, thankfully, it's a long path today.
It is.
Back in the day, it was
a short line. Right.
The minute the thought came in, boom, I was at the liquor store.
Right.
Those fuck it moments. But no, I appreciate that. And, I think a lot of it is, give. And it sometimes you don't get right away. It takes a while to get. And, and I don't do what I do to get, but getting helps. And when I say get, it's just not rewards. It's not money. It's not accolades. When I get a good night's sleep, right? When I, so I don't know, man. I think it's very. I'm very aware of what I used to fill the tank with, and they are not my options today.
I love you, brother, and you know what?
You,
do me a favor. Pull your problem back out of the fishbowl, because I'd rather have you have your problem right now, because I know you can handle it, than Brian's problem. Which
I'll tell you, man. That's
right.
No, I love that fishbowl thought.
Yeah.
I just love it. So.
I love you.
Love you, man.
All right, man. Talk to you.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@Sober.Coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.